What's up, guys? Here for the week one performance reviews. So to start, you guys may have seen today we had our, I guess not our first trade because one has already taken place between the same two teams. But we have our a trade go through today. Dakota offered to trade Julian Edelman and Devin Singletary to Michael for Juju Smith-Schuster. So I approved the trade. I don't see really anything wrong with it. Not sure I would have traded away Juju. But he's getting a starting running back and a pretty solid receiver in return. Obviously with Antonio Brown going to the Patriots, which we'll probably discuss a little bit later, takes Edelman's value down some, but I don't think it'll take it down too much. Brown will probably be forced to play on the outside. Maybe they'll mix it up a little bit. We'll see how that goes, but if that's what the teams want, I'm the I'm the commissioner that'll approve pretty much anything as long as both teams are in agreement and it doesn't look too ridiculous. So that trade has gone through and been approved there. So to start, I will go through the matchups and just a brief recap of everybody's games. So to start, we had my matchup versus Garrett. I beat Garrett pretty bad, although my team didn't do too well. Got 92. Garrett had 57. Highlights of my team: Wentz had a good game. David Johnson had a good game. Sony Michel struggled. He had 15 carries, but only was able to muster 14 yards. So not good there. I had Tyreek Hill in the lineup, who most of you guys know had a shoulder injury in the game. He is not going to be placed on IR. But apparently his clavicle, I guess, went underneath his sternum or something. They had to rush him to the hospital, make sure he was good. It's just going to take some time to heal. My guess is he'll probably be out anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks would be my guess. But we'll see how that goes there. Nothing else really going on in my starting lineup. Anybody else just kind of, put up average points. Nothing crazy, but got enough to get the win, and that's all I care about. On the bench, though, I did have Latavius Murray got 12. Jamison Crowder had 17. He had 14 catches for 99 yards. And Deshaun Jackson with a big day. He had 8 for 154 and 2 touchdowns there. I'm looking at Garrett's team. Obviously, he has Mahomes, and that'll probably get him a lot of points every week. Mahomes put up 27 points there. Joe Mixon and Darius Geis didn't have good games. Both of them did get injured in the games. Neither one of them really has a timetable for how long they'll be out, but they'll definitely be out this coming week, I believe. I'm not really sure what's wrong with Mixon. I didn't look that up. I didn't hear about it. I've never owned him, so I don't really care. And I know Darius Geis has a meniscus injury, so we'll see how that goes. I do know that can be at least a few weeks, depending on how bad of the injury is. And, of course, he's had several injuries with his knees in the past, so hopefully he can get that taken care of and come back. Devonta Adams had a rough game. Obviously playing the number one defense. It's a little expected. Only mustered 5.5 there. And he had Dante Pettis in his lineup, who got him 1.2 points. Dante Pettis only played 2 snaps in that game versus the Buccaneers. He's had some injury concerns recently, and I'm not sure if he's in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse or what's going on there. But also has Matt Breida on the team, who didn't do great, but Tevin Coleman has an ankle sprain and will be out for the foreseeable future for a little bit. So Breida will step in and play that role and split some time with Mostert, and I think they'll pull up Wilson from the practice squad there. Jaguars defense in his lineup got him -8. Obviously, it's tough. They had a tough matchup. I know in a league I had a defense with a tough matchup, decided to bench him, and it ended up not working out well. I mean, I still won, but they actually did good. So nothing really to speak of on his bench. He is smart. He does have Gio Bernard to fill in for Joe Mixon. I believe Garrett owns Joe Mixon and Gio Bernard every year in fantasy, so it's not really surprising there. It has Tom Brady on the bench, who did well there. Obviously, you're going to play Mahomes every week, so I guess he's just there in case Mahomes gets hurt or for that one bye week or the possible little bit of trade bait quarterbacks can give you in a fantasy league. Next matchup we have here is Josh versus Derek. Derek won this matchup 123-91. We'll start with Josh's team here. Baker Mayfield struggled, only had 9 points. He threw 3 interceptions in the game. David Montgomery had 5 points. He only had 7 touches in the game. He looked to be the best running back for the Bears. I'm not sure why they didn't get him more involved, but obviously some slight disappointment there. Le'Veon Bell in his first game with the Jets had 17 for 60, 6 catches for 32 yards, and did have a receiving touchdown. I believe he played every snap in the game, so they weren't concerned about his health and him missing a year. They said, "Get your ass out there. We're paying you a lot of money," and worked out well. Almost worked out well for him. They lost that game by a point there. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen Odell Beckham decided to play his game with, like, I've heard anywhere ranging from $150,000 to $350,000 watch on his wrist. Not really sure why you would play with any sort of jewelry on, because it obviously doesn't give you a fucking advantage, and you risk breaking it or damaging it. I mean, it seems pointless. But I also don't have millions and millions of dollars where it doesn't fucking matter if I break something that costs $100,000. So I believe he said he's going to continue to wear it. I don't know if the NFL is going to fine him. We'll find out. Mike Williams hurt his knee in the game, so right now they're not sure if he's going to miss this week or not, but something to keep an eye on. Nothing really going on the bench. I do notice Corey Davis had 0 points. And he played in the game, so that's a little weird. Titans did beat the shit out of the Browns, though, so there's that. Looking at the winners team here, Derek. Derek had Ben Roethlisberger, who only got 10 points. He had 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tough day for Big Ben. Gurley only put up 11 points. It almost looked like he may have been in a little bit of a timeshare. He did get some decent touches, got both the touchdowns taken away by Malcolm Brown. I know Darrell Henderson got a few plays out there, but for the most part it was Gurley and Malcolm Brown out there. Chris Carson with a big game, 21 points. Decent game out of all his receivers. It's tough for Thielen to have a big game when the Minnesota quarterback only threw 10 passes the entire game. They obviously just want to go with the run, so different philosophy there. Not much going on the bench here. He's got Gronk. I guess he's hoping Gronk comes back at some point. I don't really know if I'd waste the roster spot on that, given our small benches. Does have Mecole Hardman, who will likely fill in for Tyreek Hill, so I would expect him to get put into the lineup. I mean, I play Derek this week, so we'll see how that goes. I hope he doesn't go off on me, given the fact that I also have Tyreek Hill, so that would kind of suck. Next matchup we have here was one of the biggest wins of the week. Dalton won handily, 188-103 over Phillip. Looking at Dalton's team here, big combination out of Marlon Mack and Austin Eckler. Mack with 25 points, Eckler with 36. Eckler, I believe, had 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. I expect Mack to keep producing to that kind of level. I don't necessarily expect the same out of Eckler. I expect Jackson to get a little bit more work, and then, of course, at any point, Melvin Gordon could come back. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, big game out of DeAndre Hopkins. Part of me is questioning, is Hopkins the number 1 receiver in the league? Obviously, he's a beast. He's a monster. Do you guys have him higher than Devontae Adams, Julio, Michael Thomas, maybe you got Odell in there. I don't know. I think I probably would have him number 1. I'd have to look at it a little bit closer, but he definitely making his case for that. Not too much else going on in the starting lineup there. One thing to note on his team is we all know Saturday Antonio Brown went to the Pats. So what does that mean? Is Antonio Brown going to be the number one receiver now? Is he going to do kind of what he did in, what we expected him to do in Oakland? Is he going to be even a little bit worse than that? How much is he going to play there? Is he going to fit in with the Patriots way, Tom Brady? Right now, they haven't even said if he's going to play this week, but that could just be some bullshit with, Belichick and what the Patriots do there. I believe he's definitely going to be involved. I believe he'll definitely be a good player. I believe he'll definitely be a fantasy asset. I don't think he will be a top 10 receiver there. I think Brady's just going to spread the ball around. They'll definitely get him the ball. I definitely think he'll be top 20. But there's a lot of mouths to feed there. So I think it hurts everybody's value on the team, a little bit. But definitely a good move for him. Obviously, he'd rather have Brady throwing to him, 5 times a game than Carr throwing to him 8 or, whatever he would be getting in Oakland. Obviously, Pats are a much better team, so they'll always be putting up plenty of points on the board. Looking over here at Phillips' team, Cam Newton sucked. Not really too surprising there. I'm not a Cam Newton fan, and I'm not sure if you guys saw what he was wearing, but he looked like a grandma coming and going to church. He had that fucking dumbass scarf thing wrapped around his head and that fucking hat and his like short sleeve suit jacket and like dress shorts. I mean, he's fucking weird, man. I don't know, but not a good game out of him. Saquon put up 16 points, which isn't too bad. He only had 15 touches in the game, though. Not really sure what the Giants were trying to do there. He's the best player. I mean, he should probably, if he's not touching the ball 20 to 25 times a game, I don't care if they're winning, losing. I definitely think there's an issue there. Devonta Freeman had a rough game. He had 8 carries for 19 yards, 3 catches for 12 yards, only produced 2.6 points. Just a tough game for him. Big game out of Keenan Allen here. Good game out of Josh Gordon. Not sure if that'll keep up, given Antonio Brown being added to the team. And nothing to speak of on the bench. To be honest, I think his bench players are probably the worst bench in the league. Some of these guys could be free agents, and they wouldn't be on my team. I understand having Ito Smith as a handcuff for Freeman there. One thing I don't like about the team, you got 4 Falcons players on your team. Obviously, one is a handcuff, but you got 2 pass catchers, the running back. The Falcons don't play well, which happened Sunday. It's going to be very tough for your team to win if you're playing those guys. Just my 2 cents there. Looking at the next matchup, we got Orlando versus Fat. Fat beat the shit out of him, 158 to 76. It's kind of tough because I had Orlando ranked number 1 in my power rankings, so it kind of makes me look a little iffy. Let's look at his team. Jameis Winston had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Nick Chubb only put up 10 points. The backup, I think it's Dontrell Hilliard, got the running touchdown in that game, so that kind of sucked. Aaron Jones carried the ball 13 times for only 39 yards. Stephon Diggs mustered 2 catches. Like I mentioned earlier, Cousins only threw the ball 10 times, so that's tough there. Michael Gallup had a nice game. He had 7 for 158. So that was a bright spot for the team there. Obviously, he's got Zeke. They didn't overwork him too much, which isn't surprising. We kind of knew that would be the case. On the bench, he's got Tevin Coleman, who obviously is going to be out for a while with an ankle injury. Kyler Murray on the bench had 21.6, so he could have got some more points there, playing him over Winston. Nothing else going on the bench there. So we look over here at Fat's team. Wilson had a good game. Christian McCaffrey killed it this week. He had 19 carries for 128 and 2 touchdowns and 10 catches for 81 yards, putting up 38 fantasy points. I mean, that is pretty ridiculous there. Had Mark Ingram, who had 14 for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Big game out of Ingram there. Obviously, if the game would have been close, he probably would have got more playing time and got some more run. But they obviously everybody knows they destroyed the Dolphins there. Fitz had a decent game. Looking on his bench, he had Dak with a big game. Dak was 25 of 32 for 405 and 4 touchdowns. So nice game there. Something I don't like about Fat's team. If you look at his team, he's got 2 Cardinals pass catchers. He's got 2 Broncos pass catchers and a Broncos running back. Just not, I'd try to spread out, some things. Obviously, if you have players on a team that's, one of the top scoring teams in the league, like obviously if you had the Chiefs or, the Patriots, those guys are going to be scoring up, upper 20s, 30 points every week. You can't really say the same for the Broncos, who only put up 16, or the Cardinals, who they did put up 27, but they're also playing the Lions, who have an okay defense, but you never know there. I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype around the Cardinals, so I mean we'll see how that works out. Obviously, it didn't affect him this week, putting up crazy amount of points and destroying his competition. Looking at the next matchup here, we have Dakota versus Michael. Michael won this matchup 143 to 127. Dakota's team was carried by Lamar Jackson this week. Just couldn't quite get enough. Obviously, no fault of Jackson's, who was 17 of 20 for 324 and 5 touchdowns. Tough day for James Conner, 8.5. Miles Sanders put up 3.2. Big day out of Evan Ingram, which I didn't even notice that, so I might try to be shooting some trades for him in some other leagues. He had 11 catches for 116 and 1 touchdown. Had Devin Singletary as well with 12.3. Nothing going on the bench, so made some smart coaching decisions there, just couldn't quite pull it out. Looking at Michael's team here, Rodgers had a rough game, 13 points. Dalvin Cook with a big game. He had 21 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had John Brown in his lineup, so a good play there. John Brown had a big game, 7 for 123 and 1 touchdown. Nice double-digit points out of his defense and his kicker. Had Vikings defense on his bench with 15, so even he played the right defense. Luckily, Waller, Lockett, both had double digits, not too bad there. I mean, even Damon Williams had 15.5, so all around a decent game for him. I was able to get the victory there. And then the last game here, which apparently was the comeback of the week. John won this one. It was 170 to 156. Look over here at Garrett's team. Nice game out of Breeze, Kamara, both with 20 plus, or just barely over 20. Derrick Henry had a big game. Derrick Henry put up 28 points. He had 1 catch for 75 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's pretty efficient as far as the receiving game goes. Alshon with a nice game. T.Y. Hilton had a big game. He was 8 for 87 and 2 touchdowns. Had played, I think he's the only team who played 2 tight ends. Got decent production out of both. 8 points isn't bad. Delaney Walker was 5 for 55 and 2 touchdowns. And had a nice little post-game trash talk about the Browns, saying, don't crown them. Broncos defense got him some negative points. Nothing to really speak of on the bench. Looking over here at John's team, big game out of Watson. Most of us probably watched most of that game last night. He had 268 and 3 touchdowns. Also had 40 rushing yards and a running touchdown. Josh Jacobs in his first game as a pro was 23 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews was 8 for 108 and a touchdown. A lot of that came in garbage time, to be honest. But I'm happy because I played him in a league. Tyrell Williams was 6 for 105 and a touchdown. John put up 170 points this week, and it could have been even more if he had Sammy Watkins in his game, who had 9 for 198 and 3 touchdowns. And then Marquise Brown was 4 for 147 and 2 touchdowns, and I believe Marquise Brown only played 14 snaps in that game. So obviously in a more competitive environment, as he gets healthier, that'll go up, and he might be able to keep up some good production. You can't expect that kind of game out of him every week, but should be probably at least 2, 3 more, big games like that throughout the season, I would guess. Obviously, Sammy Watkins is going to probably produce top 10 receiver numbers while Tyreek Hill is out, as long as he can stay healthy. So we'll see how that goes there. That does it for the matchups for this week. I will recap the picks that I made and everything on Thursday when I make the new picks. I want to say right off the top of my head, I think I was 3 for 3, and I'm pretty sure my lock of the week and my upset of the week didn't happen. So a little tough to start the season off, but as players go and I see how your teams go, maybe I'll be able to make some better picks moving forward. Just a reminder, get your waiver claims in. Waivers will process tomorrow at noon. It's always a fun time because we do fab, so we'll see, if you miss out on a player, how much money did the other person pay to get them. Obviously, there's probably a good upwards of 10 players that are, reasonable to be picked up by a team, so we'll see how that goes. I will have the new power rankings posted by the time you guys watch this. I'll give them out here real quick. At number 12 is Philip, staying the same. Number 11 is Josh, dropping 2 spots. Number 10 is Dakota, he's staying the same. Number 9 is John, he moved up 2 spots. Number 8 is Derek, who stayed the same. Number 7 is Garrett, who dropped 5 spots from number 2. Obviously, he had the lowest scoring team of the week, and his team is just riddled with injuries. So that has a lot to do with him falling. Michael is staying at number 6. I am staying at number 5. Dalton is up 3 spots to number 4. Orlando dropped 2 spots to number 3. Fat moved up 2 spots to number 2. And Garrett Pastor moved up 1 spot to number 1. So best luck to everybody this week. Obviously, week 1 was rivalry week. Week 2 is a rivalry week as well because we will play each of those opponents again at the end of the season. Like I mentioned before, I will change up the rivalries next year depending on how the season plays out and who gets on whose nerves the most and how things go there. Best of luck to everybody this week and see you next time.